Hey everyone, and welcome back to Country Music Made Me. Thank you so much for joining us once again. If you haven't already, please be sure to check out our website, countrymusicmademe.com. There you can listen to all of our episodes and also sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive content and also stay up to date on all of our upcoming guests. Just head over to countrymusicmademe.com and hit that subscribe button. You can also find us on any streaming platform, so if streaming is your thing, just head over to your favorite, search Country Music Made Me, give us a follow, and maybe even leave us a review while you're there. On today's episode, we are excited to welcome Abbey Cone. Now, Abbey has been singing for as long as she can remember. She actually started singing the anthem on the Rodeo Circuit that her parents were a part of, and that moved into the Opry Circuit in her home state of Texas. Now, at the age of 12, she made her first trip to Nashville, and after going back and forth, she made the official move at the age of 16. Ever since there, she has been chasing a career as a country artist, and in 2020, she was able to live out her dream of signing a record deal as she signed with Valory Music and Big Machine. She is still on the early part of this journey, just releasing her debut EP, Hate Me, but it is one that has been an incredible journey already with more great things to come. So please enjoy our conversation with Abbey Cone. Let's go back to the small town of Argyle, Texas, growing up, and tell me about your family, what they were like. Were they a very ranching and cowboy-driven family?
It's actually so funny because I'm at my family's ranch right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm in Texas in Bluffdale, Texas, which is like population under 1,000. So yes, I grew up, I'm the baby of 4. So I have 2 older sisters and an older brother, and they all grew up rodeoing. Do you know what rodeoing is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very, Texas family, to say the least. Yeah, all my siblings rodeoed. We would like travel around the country in like different, like assorted trailers, like living quarter trailers sort of vibe with all the horses. And ironically, I'm getting over the fear, but I've been really scared of horses most of my life. Not scared to be around them, just to get on them and ride them. And so I kind of found my place for a long time in my family singing the national anthems at all the rodeos.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of where like I don't know if you knew that about me, but I'm like a national anthem singer. I do the national anthem all the time at various sporting events. Like I get asked to do it a lot. And that kind of originated in the rodeo world because all my family rodeoed. So yes, my family's very like Texas ranchy vibes.
And so where do you think that musicality from within you came from? Because no one in your family really has that, do they?
Well, I just figured out the other day that my great grandmother on my mom's side was like a piano player and sang, and then I used to say no, nobody in my family was musicians, but I've later figured out that there were some like quite musically inclined people in my family. And there's always been a strong like love for music in my family, even though in my immediate family, like my parents really love music. I grew up with my dad, like Willie's Roadhouse was on like all the time. And my mom loves we were in Chili's last night and the song Brick House came on, and she like that's like her song. She loves like 80s, almost like disco-y kind of stuff. So yeah, like no immediate like singers or anything, but like everyone loves music, and it was always kind of like a big part of everything. Yeah, so I feel like it was just always around.
And so because you were in front of people singing the national anthem, did the performance side of music always come natural for you?
I guess so. If the first time I sang the national anthem, I was 6. and it was at a rodeo. It was at like a finals rodeo in Fort Worth, and there were like 1,200 people there. And I guess I was kind of nervous, and I asked my mom if she would hold my hand and at least walk me out. Like, they wanted me to walk out into the center of the arena and sing the national anthem. And so I agreed to that, but I needed my mom to hold my hand and walk me out there, I guess. And I think, like, I actually remember it pretty well. Like, I remember, I know that's really young, but I remember like what I was wearing, and I do remember my mom walking me out there. And I'm assuming that probably since then, like, getting that accomplished at such a young age kind of made it easy to do kind of anything past then. Like, I just have this ability to, like, I do get nervous. I wouldn't call it like stage fright, but like I get physical nerves. But I think like most performers, there's just like this thing where it's like you just do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it started in me at like a very young age. Just like do it.
That's awesome. And now take me back to the moment, I think it was around the age of 6 as well, that you heard Sheryl Crow's "The First Cut is the Deepest," and what that moment meant for you.
Yeah, I was like, I think I was like 6 or 7. And I had this like little like pink radio, and I think it was from a CD, like a Sheryl Crow CD. I have no idea how I got a Sheryl Crow CD. But yeah, I just remember like hearing this song, and I don't really know what to say other than like I was in my little bed that I remember so well, and I was just like sobbing. And I just remember like hearing the lyrics and like crying. And I really don't know what I was crying about. But I feel really deeply, and my emotions are like always right on the surface, you know, like I'm a crier. I'm just like always ready to like burst out in tears. I just remember feeling really emotional and kind of like, I don't know if I was crying for Sheryl Crow or for me or for anyone. I don't really know, but yeah, I remember like really feeling it.
How does it make you feel thinking back to that moment at 6 and the power that song had for you, and now thinking to your music and maybe some 6-year-old girl sitting there listening to your music and having that same reaction to it?
I don't know. I still am like someone was covering my song the other day on like Instagram, and it was so like crazy to hear someone singing lyrics that I wrote, you know, like I'm still like getting used to even that like happening. And so, you know, like my nieces and stuff like listen to my music, and I have friends that have kids that like my music, but like thinking about like a little girl like crying to one of my songs makes me, it makes me feel, I don't really know how that should make someone feel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wish if I knew that a little girl was like crying to my music, my immediate thought was like, I want to talk to her. Like I want to like, I want to like know why she's crying, you know? Yeah. That would be really cute.
When you're in the moment of writing and you're so deep in the mindset of writing, and then you write the song, and then you have the recording process where you're deep in that, is it hard to sort of disconnect yourself from the feelings you have for the song and sort of put yourself in other shoes and how they might feel about the song?
Yes, it is, because it's so, I have just like, since I've been pretty much like 12 years old when I started writing songs, I've just written songs about things that I've been going through. So it's still like a new, like, even though I have music out in the world, like I know that people are listening to it. I do know that. But like to like fully realize that and like think about like, yeah, how people are listening to it and digesting it themselves and putting themselves in that, like I'm still like that still blows my mind. Like I don't think that I really maybe like until I like play for a crowd that like sings it and like I can like I can have a visual to it, you know, it's kind of like hard for me to grasp. Like I know people are out there listening to it, but since I can't see them, like I don't believe that it's happening, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so let's go back to the days where you were performing and seeing people in front of you and jumping on the Opry Circuit, I guess, in Texas. Talk about that as a youngster and sort of what that entails at that age and going around on that circuit.
Yeah, there's kind of a unique little thing here in Texas. I mean, I've never heard of it in any other state. I didn't live in any other state than Texas, so I just know what I experienced. Yeah, but there is like live band every kind of like Friday and Saturday. There's multiple different venues around Texas that they call like Opry's, and they're like mini little Grand Ole Opry's. And I did kind of like multiple of them, but where I kind of landed the most often was an Opry called the Grapevine Opry, and it was about like 35 minutes from my house. And I started singing there when I was 9. I met my guitar teacher there, who was my guitar teacher. He played bass in the Opry band. His name is Curtis, and he was my guitar teacher from 9 to 16 when I moved to Nashville. The owner and lead guitar player was a guy named Rocky, who was an incredible electric guitar player and acoustic guitar player. And honestly, like Rocky and Curtis, but like the whole Grapevine Opry band, like allowed me to come on when I was 9, and just like from 9 to 16, pretty much every Saturday, like I was singing, you know, for live. Everything from like Patsy Cline to like Rascal Flatts, you know, it was just like you just do cover songs. So it was like I have such fond memories of that. I've always like I love writing songs, but I love singing so much. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm singing. And so the fact that I kind of like got to regularly have that experience from such a young age, I think like it was everything to me.
Talk about your first time to Nashville and the feelings within that trip. And at that point, would you have stayed if your parents allowed you to?
So I was 12. I remember going to the Grand Ole Opry. I saw Vince Gill. And I'm a Vince Gill like super fan, absolute super fan. I went to the listening room, the very first one with all the couches. If anyone's from Nashville, it was the one with all the couches. And I saw a songwriter around randomly that had like Jenny Gill, Vince's daughter, in it. And I just remember being like really like moved by the experiences that I had on that first trip. You know, I got to see a writer's round, which kind of made like a little light bulb go off of like, oh, this is a thing. You know, you can write songs, and you know, I got more of a grasp of what was going on, and then to see Vince be at the Opry, I kind of got a taste of, you know, more of like the artist performing side of it. And I was like, oh, I want to do that, you know? And so, and I've like since gotten to like work with and meet Vince, and like actually like this year, which is kind of just like a massive full circle moment for me. I have a photo with him somewhere from that trip.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I would have stayed. I was still like obviously very much a child, but like very invested, and like, you know, I don't know, probably not. No, I wouldn't have stayed. I would have just waited, which I did.
Yeah, exactly. And when did the switch go that you knew Nashville was the place you were going to go? Was it even before that first trip?
I don't think so. I think it was kind of that trip that like made me become like hyper focused, borderline obsessed with the idea of being in Nashville and doing this. And then it kind of like, I struggle, and I don't know why, but I struggle a little bit to like remember the small details of it all. Um, at some point during my freshman year of high school, I brought it up to my mom and my parents, like, hey, I want to quit school and go to online school, and I want to move to Nashville. And I don't really remember like my thought process like leading up to asking my parents that, but I know that I did, So after I decided to like leave school and go into online school was kind of when it was like full steam ahead, like I'm going, which I was only like 15, and I made it to Nashville and was in Nashville full time by the time I was like about to turn 17.
Wow. And so looking back on that journey, being so, like you say, hyper obsessed with this idea of being in Nashville and doing music, when you look back now, do you feel like you missed out on some parts of life that you wish you maybe would have focused on more, like high school and time with family that maybe you missed during that time of your life?
I feel I don't have like regrets, I think that like I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I don't even necessarily like, if this makes sense, like think I don't think about the things that I missed out on, but I kind of feel them sometimes. Like I feel the lack of experience in certain areas of my life. I feel like someone who didn't complete high school in a normal way and spend those extra 4 years with their family and didn't go to college. Like I feel that, and that those time periods in like a young kid's life like bring a lot of development. So in some ways I'm like, and I don't, and this kind of like leads to like a sort of a different conversation, but like during the pandemic when everything stopped, I was like, I felt all of that underdevelopment, if that makes sense. Like it's like it all came rushing back of like all the parts of myself that I hadn't gotten to know or something. And so it's taken, I feel like it's like I'm on this artist journey and this like creative journey, but I'm like also on this other journey of like giving myself and teaching myself all the other parts of myself, and like learning what I like to do to have fun and other things that make me happy besides this career and stuff like that. So yeah, I do feel like like someone who chose a career at 15 rather than what other 15-year-olds choose for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to ask you about 2020 because of that journey of leading up to 2020. You were an artist, and that was your mindset. I am an artist. So when 2020 hit, was that a difficult thing to figure out who you were now that you couldn't identify as an artist?
Yes. Even if I didn't necessarily know what I was feeling or what was going on with me, I now know that it was the inability to do what I had identified with my whole entire life and had worked towards becoming my entire life. And I think that to my own detriment, I had told myself, and this sounds extreme, but it's almost like my life begins once I'm an artist, once I am fulfilling my desire to be an artist and I am making a career out of doing this, then I can figure out the rest of myself. Like I know that sounds like extreme, but I know that I'm not alone in that, like within people that have committed a lot of their life to kind of like an artistic creative career. So yeah, I just, on one hand, like I had been going and doing and focusing since I was so young that like I feel like my body almost just kind of like shut down a little bit during when the pandemic started, and I like one half of me was like living my best life doing nothing, but then the other half of me was just like raging with anxiety and confusion, you know? So it was a lot. It was like a lot for me. I have like, it was really good for me, but also just like, I'm still kind of healing from the like the kind of like mental struggle that kind of like set into motion for me.
Absolutely. And I think I saw at one point you talk about sort of your past mindset of once I get a record deal and once I put out music, then I'll be happy. That'll be the point that I can be happy. And the sort of dangerous things that that can create, because once that comes, then it's on to the next thing. Oh, once I get this other thing, then I'll be happy. So how important is it, especially in a musical career, to not have that mindset of I need this to be happy? Well, not even just music, but in life, to not focus on what I need to be happy, but to be happy in the present.
Yeah, I think that is the only way, is to like be present. You know, you can want things and have goals for yourself. I really should be speaking from the I don't like to like speak for other people. I can want goals and like have things that I want to accomplish for myself and within my career, but like I think it's almost like, not that I've lost any like desire to like do this and reach the level that I want to reach, but like I just have fully kind of reckoned with the fact that like this could not happen for me. You know, I could very well like not play Bridgestone. Like I've always wanted to play Bridgestone, you know, and like I have to still live life and like have a life and be alive, you know? And so that's kind of like, that's what I'm learning to do right now. Like I'm honestly still like so in the in the depths of like all of it, trying to, you know, because I'm so happy that I have music out finally and that I am actively being an artist, but I think that I kind of have been going through and I honestly like in the last couple of days have felt kind of on the other side of it, of like this post release kind of like blues or something, you know, like
Yeah.
I people don't really talk about like when, as an artist, when you are planning on putting music out and you're working up to releasing music, you have something to do kind of every day. You know, like your team's calling you, being like you're approving, or at least for me, when I want to be involved in everything. You know, when working up to that EP release, there was something to do that filled my days every day. You know, I had to work on something, and then you release the music, or I release the music, and you know, it's kind of like everything just like goes, you know, like, and although, and your job then is kind of like now to like make it appear on social media as though you're like really busy and everything's going amazing, and like your days are filled with like so much, and like and it's just not, it hasn't been like that for me, you know, like I'm going on the CMT Next Women of Country tour in September, you know, and I released my project at the end of April, and it's kind of like I'm I'm kind of left to like make TikToks, you know, like I and I know that that's like part of my job, but I really love the process, or I've come to find out that I love the process of like working up to releasing the music, and like all the creative stuff and all the videos, and like, and then I just never thought about after the fact, or I did, but I had never experienced the after effects. And I know that I guess once you become a more successful artist, your time becomes filled with more stuff. But when you're a baby artist, I feel like there's a lot of like time when you're just kind of alone, you know? And like, at least for me, I guess I just have struggled a little bit with like, okay, well, what now? You know?
Yeah.
And so I just to be completely like transparent, I've been kind of in like a weird place since I released my project, because I just, you know, it's just a lot on a system to like feel like you're like climbing this mountain, and then like the mountain, and then like you see a whole nother mountain, you know. It's just, that is this career. And I think I've finally gotten to the point where I understand that. Whereas like maybe when I was younger, I didn't know that that's like the process, that it's literally like up and down and up and down. And right when you think that it's happening, you have like a billion more miles to go. Sorry, I'm just ranting, but that's
No,
kind
it's
of like
great.
where I'm at right now, what I'm going through.
Yeah. And there's two things I kind of want to unpack from there, of sort of conversations I've had with artists in the past. One I had the other day is sort of that mountain analogy, in that at one point he felt like he had got to the top of the mountain because he was now a full-time musician and didn't need a day job. But then he looked out and saw a whole bunch of other peaks of mountains that were left to climb. And that's like this journey. And then also within the sort of the anticipation that comes with releasing music or a big show. I was talking to someone who played the Opry, and she mentioned that the anticipation was amazing, but then once she played it and she was backstage, like it was a low, because it's like, well, what now? Now I've done it, but now what?
See, I think that's the dangerous part about this career choice, is like, we all want the moments of, you know, the highs. And then, you know, I think I read like John Mayer talk about it one time, about what it's like for him coming off of tour, and
Right.
your life going from like being like praised every night by thousands and sometimes millions like of people, and then you just are like by yourself in your house. And even on like a small, like a tiny scale, I feel like that's kind of what I mean, that's like a spectrum, you know what I mean? Whether
Yeah,
it's like, you know, like you just said, like playing the Opry, and then you're backstage and you're like, it's literally over, you know what I mean? And so I think that it could be talked about more, about like the reality, this like the reality of this career choice, you know, of being an artist, and like what that actually looks like. I saw something on Instagram the other day, and it was kind of like, you have to like, if you're an artist, I feel like in any respect, like, you know, like any kind of artist, like you kind of have to be like a warrior, you know, like you have to be willing and prepared to like, and like, yeah, just aware that like it goes like this and then you drop, and then it goes like this and then you drop. And I think we all want so badly the highs that we just don't think about the lows, you know. I don't know, it's a lot, like it's a lot on your brain and on your nervous system, and like it's just a lot. Yeah.
absolutely. And so through the ups and downs, Nathan, your boyfriend, your producer, your co-writer,
My
your
everything. Yeah.
everything, how important has he been to have within this journey? Do you think you'd be able to ride these highs and lows without having him there?
I don't think so. In like the last, you know, I mean, we've been together for almost 4 years. So, and we met, we got set up on a ride together and just met, and we're pretty much like dating like 6 months later. And then we cut this EP even before I got my record deal. So like in some ways I feel like we got the record deal and we put out the project. And I know that it's me, but like he is like at some points has just been like holding me up. You know what I mean? Like we're best friends, you know? So yeah, he has been I have so many people that support me, but like since like I'm with him every day, you know, we're both creative, so we don't have like normal jobs, so like we're quite literally together every day. And yeah, he has been there through all of it, you know, and I'm really thankful for that. I think that is like most important thing. I think I'm learning that like support and people that will like, even when you don't believe in yourself, will continue to believe in you. My booking agent, Lenore, like saw that I posted like something sad on Instagram the other day and just like called me and just like, you know, literally gave me like a 45-minute, just like, I'm never leaving you, you know, I believe in you and I will, you know, just like people that when they see that you're kind of down or whatever, that they'll, you know, like inject some positivity into you. I think that like that's the most important thing. And then also like just becoming really personally resilient. Like I think that, and this is a privilege to say this, that I haven't and hadn't experienced that much adversity in my life. You know, like everything up until the pandemic and not getting to release my music and, you know, kind of like all the struggles, like mentally and everything that kind of like set into motion. Like before that, everything was going pretty great for me. You know, like I understand that like that's such a privilege. So there is this tiny part of me that thinks like the universe maybe just like this happened, like my career kind of like, and I know that so many other people's did too, but like I feel like something that I'm choosing to like see as a lesson is just that I needed to become a lot more resilient emotionally, mentally than I maybe was before. And like I'll never become like jaded or hard or like I'm literally so sensitive. I'm so emotional and so sensitive, but just to like have a little more like just a little more like left in the tank, you know what I mean? To like keep fighting for myself. It's really hard when like you feel like, and you feel like everyone else is doing the cool things and you're not there yet. And like, it's the comparison game in this industry is dangerous. At least for me, it has been. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just ranting again.
No, I love it. Absolutely. And so there's two things I want to talk about, your label and also social media. So let's start with your label. And going into that, you signed in February 2020, or that's when you announced it anyways. I know the process is long, but going into that, you had dreamed about that since you were 15 or 16. You're going into this. What was the process like of ensuring you didn't just jump into something because that was your dream, but you did it right and you did it for you? What was that journey like in signing eventually with Big Machine?
So I already had my project, my EP. I had like kind of like a year before I signed my record deal, I had kind of like had A&R people kind of reaching out to me and kind of asking me what was going on. And I actually told like a lot of people, like, thank you so much for like the interest, but I'm not ready. Like, I don't have the songs yet. I don't have the music yet, but like, I'll call you back when it's ready. And so from I've said this a lot, but my turning point was kind of like meeting Nathan and writing those songs and finding someone that I felt like was what I wanted as a producer. And so after we finished the project, I basically called all the A&R people back that had reached out to me before, and I rented like a studio in East Nashville and had like a cheese plate for everyone, and just kind of like had each kind of label and A&R person that had reached out to me back to listen to my project and said, here, I'm ready now, let me know what you think. And it kind of played out to where I had two options, and I felt like and still feel like Big Machine was like the best option for me. I have been like, this is kind of like a random funny fact. One of my best friends, like since I've been like 13, works at Big Machine, which is just a weird coincidence. And I've been like she's been like sneaking me into like the Big Machine CMA after parties since I've been like 13 was like the first time I went to one. So I feel like Big Machine has always kind of like floated in the air around me a little bit. And so when I met with Scott, and I feel like both of us just felt like, I don't know, the energy just like felt right, and I went in and I did the whole like conference table thing. They're sitting right there 2 feet from you pretty much. And I just felt like it was between the options that I had, like it was the right decision for me. So I feel like the process of like signing a record deal, after dreaming about it for so long was, at least the first part of the process was kind of what I thought it would be. And I really like have fond memories of it.
Right. And so when you look at that photo of you sitting at the table with the label group and the contract in front of you, when you look back on that from 2 years ago and look to the person and artist you are today, how have you grown and how have you evolved, do you feel?
So much, first of all. I mean, physically, I had bleach blonde hair. That was like, my hair is a weird, like my hair journey is like weirdly represents like the whole journey I've been on. Like I started this whole thing with bleach blonde hair, and like this is my natural hair color. Like I have dark curly hair.
Oh, okay.
And I had been bleaching it since I was like 12 or 13, and so that, like, to me, I had like been kind of like doing things to change who I was since I was 13, and so when I look at that picture of me signing, there's a part of me that like feels like that, like and I think I've talked about this before, but like I had really like exercised this like ability to just perform, you know what I mean? Like in every aspect, just like outside, I looked really confident and like was saying things that made me seem confident. But on the inside, I'm like, oh my God, did that person just think that what I said was stupid? Like just, like insecure, like really insecure. I still am like pretty insecure, but now I don't see that as something that I have to be like ashamed of. And so I honestly think that like if I would have put out music and like released it at that time, like I would have gotten maybe stuck with like an image and being someone that wasn't really who I was, and gotten stuck presenting myself as this thing and in a cycle of feeling something completely different inside. And so now my mission is kind of like, I know that a lot of people use the word like integrity, but like when I learned what like integrity meant, like literally being integrated, I was like, it blew my mind. And so like now, like my whole thing is like, I just want the outside of me to match the inside of me. And that might mean like being, I don't, it looks a lot different. You know what I mean? It like might be me just like not able to act like I feel secure that day or whatever. But I think that that's like the better way for me to be. That leads somewhere better, that doesn't lead to like a breakdown. So when I look at that picture of myself in that photo, there's a part of me that's like really like proud of that person. Like I'm really proud of myself for getting there. Like I do feel that now. I feel like a lot of artists feel like it's hard to be proud of yourself. You walk off the Opry stage and you're like, well, what next? But like I must learn to like to feel good about the things that like I have accomplished. So I feel really proud when I look at that photo. And then like also I know that like I've grown so much more, and I do feel like a lot more ready for like the process of being an artist, because I really do like want to have a long career. And I feel like I'm I feel like I have it in me to like always to recreate myself over and over again. I really look up to like artists like Miley Cyrus, who have like, even if it's not your thing or someone else's thing, like I love how she just like continuously reinvents herself and just like becomes the next version of herself. So I feel like I'll probably be doing that for a long time.
And so within the new EP and making sure you celebrate it, but also looking on to the next chapter. Are you looking at what is next and what your new music will sound like and what direction you're heading?
Yeah, I have written new songs. I've written new songs that I really like. The conversation kind of about like cutting new music is one that I'd like to have really soon. I think that once kind of the next thing on my list is like the next Women of Country tour and just kind of like getting out in front of more people. And I think that like, I never want to just like put music out just because like I want there to be, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I want there to be almost like a demand for it. I want there to be like a place to put it. And so I think that like I'm just gonna start writing new songs and keep writing new songs. I'm working on getting into a new publishing deal, which will be like my first publishing deal, or not my first, my third publishing deal, which is like exciting for me and feels like new energy. And I think that like I'm really excited for my next music, whether that's, I really hope that it's like an album. Like I've always wanted to put out a freaking album of like however many songs I want, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
At
exactly.
12, maybe 14, who knows? And I want, my EP is very me. Like it is very much me. It is very much like musically me, but I feel like I'm ready to show and to let people in on like my EP. Kind of the goal with my EP was honestly like to get me a record deal. Like I just wanted something undeniably good. And like here is, I mean this so humbly, I really do. But like here's 6 bangers. Sign me. You know what I mean? Sign me up. So for my next thing, I just want I want to be able to put out songs and like I wrote this song about my childhood and like I want to let people in on like who I am, and that EP, the EP is like really about like love. And they were like cherry picked songs of what I felt like were my best songs. And so I really like look forward to being able to like put more of and cut more music that feels that I get to like tap into like my songwriting and like the songs that I feel like showcase me really well.
Right. And do you feel that's being lost a bit? Because like you say, on an EP, basically they have to be bangers because you have 4 or 5 songs. You're not really telling a story. So, but on an album, you're able to tell that story. So do you feel like in this day and age when it's singles and EP driven that we're almost losing that ability to story tell within the music?
I mean, I think so. When you only have 6 slots to fill, the slot, it become like the stakes are higher or something. And so I never want to like half-ass something and think that like, and not put thought into something, but I want there to be like a space that it's allowed to like put a song on an album that like that maybe that like I don't know I heard Adele in like an interview the other day was like, no, I'm like, this album is for like 35-year-olds that are going to therapy. Like I didn't write this record for like 12-year-olds, and so kind of like my version of that would be like, no, I want to put out this song about like my childhood and like, or how insecure I felt on this day, and know that like maybe like a 8-year-old guy that loves like baseball or something is not going to love that song, but it's still like I'm still allowed to put that out there because I'm the artist, and like shouldn't I be allowed to like put out whatever I want as an artist, so I do. And I feel like as a listener, like I've been listening to Harry Styles record a lot, and I just like listen to it top to bottom, and like there are songs on it that I like more than other songs, but I feel like that's the point. Like the point is to like, this person loves this song a lot and this person loves that song a lot. Like, shouldn't there be like a wide range on a record so that you're more likely to like reach more people? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like pro album.
Thank you once again so much for listening, and thank you to Abbey for stopping by and sharing her story. Be sure to check out her debut EP, Hate Me, wherever you stream your music. Please also be sure to check out our website, countrymusicmademe.com. There you can listen to all of our episodes and also sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive content and also stay up to date on all of our upcoming guests. Just head over to countrymusicmademe.com and hit that subscribe button. You can also find us on any streaming platform, so if streaming is your thing, just head over to your favorite, search Country Music Made Me, give us a follow, and maybe even leave us a review if you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you once again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Country Music Made Me.